This video is about why prices are not going to go down until the entire economy collapses. It's all because of investors primarily, and because, mostly the shift towards making quality as the main goal, and a long-term business people learn to trust. It's transformed to making as much money as fast as possible. Yeah, right now. That's why, typically back then they made something and it was their last name it was the shop, the product, whatever, last name. Like, I don't know exactly, last names, right? But not anymore, like, especially in China. I don't know if they don't put their last names because they don't want people knowing it's made in China, or just because they don't want to put their last name on the crappy products they're producing, or something like that, and a lot of these Chinese companies will have these generic bullshit names like, what is the one? iWork, like a tool brand. iWork, it's like a trashy tool thingy. That's the brand. I think it might not exist. The brands they stop existing really quickly, and they'll switch to another name, probably the same product, maybe different colors and shit. They'll switch the name around. Maybe it's uncovered they did something illegal or whatever. They'll do different. They'll go. I don't know. The patent holder does other things or whatever. It's never like the same companies for a long time, and it's like they make these things, and this is what they do. They keep changing their company names, and like all these different. They're probably owned by the same person anyway. Like these Chinese apps, they're probably owned by the same people. Like, I don't know. What's the one? Chinese, man. Tmall, yeah. That guy probably owns a lot of stuff. Low quality crap. But I guess you get back to the main video. Prices are not going to go down until the economy collapses, because what they've been doing, the investors have gone more towards the most amount of money you can possibly get out of people, the better, right? And that's why everything's so expensive now. Houses, I got some like water right here. Houses are so expensive. They don't care that people live in them. That's like turned into a basic human need now, opposed from living out in this, cave or whatever, which you can't even do anymore legally because the government owns everything, and they're like, no. And yeah, you can't even do basic things anymore. What was that? Oh yeah. So like, they'll make these things so expensive, and they'll market it as, it's, you see these dumb marketing things like, 3-in-1 or whatever. Like, where's the one? It probably doesn't exist. 3-in-1. Like, you're acting like this is like, wow, I could have bought 3 for this price, but now I'm getting 1 with all of it in for this price. Like, okay, but no. Like, they'll say, it's build equity with your house. That's why it's so expensive. It's a luxury item, whatever. It's so expensive for houses. It's not supposed to be a luxury item or build equity or build wealth or whatever the fuck you're talking about. It's supposed to be the most basic, like, thing of life. It's not even like water in the house or electricity. It's just living inside. It's living inside where there's just, you're out of the fucking weather a little bit, even if there's not heat or electricity or whatever, it's still something. But no, it's equity builder, it's wealth building, like, so they can charge you more, like, no. And So another thing is like, if they decided to just, they realize, like, if they just, they're trapped between, I guess, a rock and a hard place. You know, they can either admit, you know, for different products, not just houses, like anything really, anything, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. It doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Where when people have no money to spend on these things, and the essentials, or they're just barely making it by. And see, the companies they're either gonna stay on and get in big political trouble after people find out they could have been charging, they could have been making a profit of $10, but they were charging 30, you know. And they're either going to admit, they're either going to lower their prices so that they can get some money from people, that people can afford something. They can get money, like even like a profit still. They're either going to admit that they could have been selling it for this the whole time and destroy the reputation, or I don't know, make it politically, bad for them. Or they're going to hold on to their high prices, hoping that the economy will recover somehow and people will have enough money to spend on them. So and it's just not going to happen at this point, just from so many different places. It's not just, this isn't a small little financial disruption. This is a long-term, like, we fucked up type shit. All right, people aren't going to have money tomorrow. It's too deep now. It's too deep. The money is, it's all debt. It's all debt. The rich people who can afford these things, it's all on debt too, but it's all investments. It's all borrowed money that doesn't exist. They can print, they're printing more money, yeah, sure, but it's most money is not even real. It's not even the borrowed money that the government's making, and then they're actually printing it out into physical money. That's still borrowed money. It's not even real money. Like, you can have it, but it ain't even real. The government didn't have that money to give out, so that's borrowed money. And then there's the investment things where it's not actually, whatever this money is now. It's all just saying, it's not physical at all, right? So as soon as these companies, they can't make any money because people can't afford their shit, and they're either gonna admit they could have been doing it for $10 instead of $30, or they're gonna stick to their $30, which let's say nobody can afford it for whatever it is. Let's say it's like beer or some shit, I don't know. Doesn't matter what it is. $30, they're gonna stay at 30, like, just so people don't know that they could have been doing it. They're gonna, I guess, like, they don't want to set it as, it costs $10, we're only gonna pay $10. They don't want people to know that. They want people to think it's worth $30 and we can only pay $30. There's no lower price than that. So they're either gonna stay on, and they're gonna earn less money. Less and less people are gonna be able to afford them. Rich people who can afford them are gonna stop buying them because they know hard times are coming. And if they're rich, they're probably invested in all these big companies, and nobody's buying these products from them. And so the investors are gonna tell the investors this company is going down the hole, right? They're not making any money. The investors, they own like a part of the company. They get a part of the profit. That's what the whole thing is. If the company is losing money, the investors are losing money, and investors own, let's say they own 70% of the company or whatever, maybe more than that. And then all these, like, tons and tons of people that own these companies, and then there's the, I don't know, board of directors that own like most of it, that are just gonna be losing money as well. They're gonna want out of it, right? So you're just losing. You're gonna fail, the only way to stay on is to hurt your reputation severely, right? Or you're gonna fail entirely and lose everything. You're gonna lose your customers. You're gonna lose everything, really everything. You're gonna be out. Everybody, if you're invested in it, you're losing everything. If you own it, you're losing everything. If you work there, you're out of a job. I mean, you gotta, I don't know what to do. You gotta stop paying tax or something, I don't know. And the crazy thing is that what the government has done is, so back in the day, you could just, back, like way back, 1800 and shit. If you go to this place, nobody, like, you could just do it. You could just do it. If you worked hard enough to make a cabin, you could make a cabin, right? Nobody cared. If you gotta do it yourself, or if you can pay people to do it, but like, there wasn't some kind of like building laws back then. Oh, you build it in a wildfire prone area. Congratulations. Like, it's all you. Okay? Yeah, there's real consequences. It's all you. But no, these days you gotta have all this shit. You can't even build things on your own land. You have to pay taxes on the land you already paid for, and taxes on the shit you already own. Or the government just can't handle money so bad that they just have to keep taking more and more of it to I don't know, they're not going to be able to, they're not, and I wanted to tell these people, the government is in $40 trillion in debt right now. Or maybe it's even more than that by now, I don't know. And recently, it's 100% of GDP. It's over 100% of GDP, okay? Which GDP doesn't even mean anything in the first place, but GDP, so of all the total money brought in by the United States, then the national debt is more than that. Okay? So now we owe, the U.S. government owes more money than they ever brought in a year. Or that they can bring in a year. They owe more money than that. Now, there's no way a government can just keep making, let's say they make $40 trillion a year and they owe $41 trillion. There's no way they can't just not spend all that money to pay it off in 2 years. No. There's not just the IRS who has to pay to process those taxes or whatever the money again. It just wouldn't work out. They're done. It's done. The U.S. government is done. It doesn't have a chance. You can only go, once you're this deep in debt, the only way forward is down. It's only downhill from here, okay? It's only downhill until the government is gone. Unless they just, I mean, personally, if I was in government, if I was supreme leader of the United States, I would just be like, no, I ain't paying it. We ain't taking any more loans. We're not paying you back. If you already made like twice what we borrowed from you, we're done. Maybe someday we'll pay you back. No, we're not gonna recognize any more interest. We can't. It's gonna fail sometime. The more you push it to last a couple more years, it's just hurting you more, right? It's done. You cannot keep going into debt forever, right? It's all borrowed money. You gotta end it. And yeah, maybe they'll invade the whole United States. Like, I didn't do it. Oh yeah, sure, the supreme leader that made it law or whatever, but I didn't do it. I was the one who decided to loan money to the country. I was one who decided to ask for money or to borrow money. I didn't decide that. I'm the one who's ending the fall into the deep hole. Okay, it's gotta end at some point. The countries they're gonna cut you off. They're gonna realize, wait a minute, they're paying us all with borrowed money. They don't even make that much money in a year. or 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is by that time, they're gonna cut you off. They might even start wars with you. People, the United States citizens, are gonna know this money ain't worth shit now. People aren't gonna accept it. Nobody's gonna accept the money because it's just all borrowed and junk. They're just gonna lose it all. The U.S. gold reserves, which are only really valuable because people say they are, it's just physically there, so it's more valuable, and it's shiny, I guess. Big and heavy and shiny and shit like that, so people think it's valuable. We probably don't even have that gold anymore. People, they won't. The whole audit thing, the Fort Knox shit, they ain't doing it. Why would, and that's a suspicious thing, necessarily, why wouldn't they just show you the gold? Where is it? I mean, people were wondering where the gold is. You're the government we voted in. We want to see the gold. Why aren't you showing it to us? Right? Now, it's kind of suspicious. Now, there are certain, it doesn't have to necessarily mean that they're definitely out of gold. But, I mean, come on, guys. Like, just do it. That's the one thing. Just do it. You don't got to keep hiding it. Right? If you don't have it, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Just admit it by now. We're already deep in this hole. We ain't gonna recover from this. It's just not really possible, unless if the government, every government in the world, just agrees to just not blow your country up or something, or seize assets, then you're good. But maybe, maybe. But I mean, they're partially responsible. I think if they're loaning you money, like, it's kind of their fault for doing it, And the bank loans you $500K to buy a house in 2008, and you only make minimum wage or whatever, or say what a 2009 minimum wage, I don't know, whatever it is. You're only making this much money. Like, is it really your fault, or is it the bank's fault? Who's supposed to know about this stuff? I mean, it's your fault too, I guess. You're the one who got, but you can only lose. You can only lose so much until you're out of money, right? You're out of money. The bank loses the actual amount. They paid that money. It's gone. You can only lose however many assets or dollars you got. They lose the actual amount. Yeah, maybe they won't lend you money as easy again, but they actually lose, right? How is this going? Yeah, so the countries are kind of responsible for loaning to us, and at this point, we're already paying off the interest on these loans with more borrowed money, with higher and higher interest, because we have so much debt already, and it's absurd. We keep borrowing money, and we have to do it at higher and higher interest rates to get people to borrow to us, because we haven't been paying it back. We can't pay it back. There's no chance we're paying it back. It's over a year's income, and we couldn't even make that much money in a year. And it's not just corporate greed. It's because, or tax evasion. It's because it just isn't that much. There's just not that much money. We don't got it. It's all. I don't know. The politicians have it, or the bad deal. It's just gone. It's just gone. So people, I recently saw a video on YouTube where it's important when you're talking about how rich a U.S. citizen is, that they'll say the average. The Google loves to tell you the average is $171,000. You Google mean income for the U.S. citizen, it'll say $101,000. And it'll be like, oh, mean average, same thing. I'm like, it ain't. Mean and average is totally different. People generalize as the same thing, but it's not, right? So average, $171,000. That just is not true. For realistic numbers. So I looked it up on Google, and you gotta do it like specifically. You ask. It won't tell you the mean. It'll tell you the average. You gotta ask. So I asked it, what's the average income for the bottom 90% of earners, and it's like $41,000. That's any idea how it is. 90%, $41,000. The average, 171,000. That's how much wealth is. The disparity in wealth, basically. That's how much wealth inequality there is in America. And that's the bottom 90%. That's already like millionaires in there, probably. There's a lot of millionaires, I guess. Which, sure, worth $1 million. Is that wealth income, actually? I don't know. Worth $1 million? Is that how it is? I don't know how they're calculating this. But that's not even how worse it gets. You look up, bottom 50%, half of the country, 50% of U.S. income earners, or U.S. income, bottom 50%, it's down to $21,000 for half the country. And it's probably not even, for 25%, it's probably even way lower than that. How is that? $21,000 average of the bottom 50% of Americans. Half. How is that? So there's half of them have 21K, and that's a lot of them is probably even less than that. Half of them, and then another 40% off of that have about, what is it, 20K more than that? What is it? What's 40? 90% have get 41K a year. And again, it's probably not even, it's not like every single person has 41K a year. It's probably like, this many, and then it jumps up so high at the end of it that they're making, but the average is already, but it's just to show how much the wealth is not equal, just the top 10%, which is already a massive amount of people, but it's only 10%. The bottom 90% make like, what is it, $41,000? That's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times less than the top 10%. And the top 10%, that ain't even showing it either. In the top 1%, it goes, I don't know, even higher than that. Even higher than 171K. Imagine that. It's so high. So there's like a graph, I don't know what it is called, but there's a graph of the different wealth in America. The bottom 50% is barely even visible. Half the country is barely even representing the income on that chart. It's like such a small little sliver on that chart. And then I don't know what it was after that. There's another one that was pretty small as well. And then there was like 10 to the top. I don't know, maybe 1%. I don't know what it was, but it was like, it went so high. It probably went like 2 or 3 times higher than the median income. Or I don't remember the chart. Right? It ain't. Americans, they think they're rich. Nobody will admit they're poor as shit. Everybody thinks, I don't know, it's like a whole thing where everybody thinks, oh, well, I'm not making 171K, this guy must be making 171K. Because that's what Google says it is. Like, no, you're not. Maybe 40K. Half of the country is making 21K. Not even, actually. Half median, it's such a weird thing, half of them doesn't actually have 21K. Just on average, That's how low it is. 21,000 for half the country. And that's, I don't know, it might be my bracket by now, because I'm just starting out, but half the country, half of it, how does that even happen? Half of the country is only making 21,000 a year, and And if you didn't know the prices of things, it wouldn't really matter. Like, do it 21K, like whatever, you know. Oh, but the houses are 600,000. Like, oh shit. You know, it just ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So I gotta understand these people. If you're about to go buy a house, you better get a severe discount. I don't care whatever they're saying it is. I would say maximum 100K, maximum, right? I don't know what you're for. If the medium income, let's say 90% of U.S. earners are making 41K a year, which isn't even realistic. It's probably even like, you know, it's averages. It's not like real. You know, it's like it's small. I'm sure it's probably a small amount at the top of that 90%. Let's say the top 10% of that 90% are actually making more money than the rest of all of them. I don't know. So it's even less people than it sounds like. That are making that much money. Right? So like the top 10%, Google says making 171K a year. No, not 10%. What was it? Average. I don't know. 10%. It's really like few people making billions of dollars, and then the bottom 9% in that top 10% making $1 million. You know, that's the difference. $1 million and $1 billion are quite different. But yeah, don't buy it. If you're gonna buy a house, don't just, I'm saying, like, I don't care, oh, Google says this amount per square foot, blah, 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 blah. It's all garbage. Google is owned by the government, okay? The more your house is worth, the more they tax you, okay? It's a whole thing. Of course they're gonna want you to think it's worth $600,000. Of course they are. They get money off of that. You can't trust these numbers. They're bullshit. Yeah, oh, it says 600K for this much square foot in this town. Yeah, no. Okay, the government would love you to believe that so you can pay tax on it. It ain't. It ain't. 600K, they want you to believe that. They can tax you. Oh, it says 600K, we're gonna tax you. It ain't. I wanna get this clear. It's only worth 600K if somebody can actually pay 600K. Or willing to pay 600K, right? If you're ever buying a house or whatever, anything expensive, I'd say, and they're asking for tons and tons of money, yeah, but like you're saying it's this much, yet I'm only actually willing to pay this much, so it's actually only worth it's only ever worth what you're willing to pay for it, okay? What the cost it took them to build it, to put it on the lot, is irrelevant, okay? If they made something too expensive for people to buy, that's on them. That's on them. It ain't a normal thing to just buy it because it's there. The company, they have to make products people can actually buy, or they're not going to be able to make products. It's simple. So, you know, sure, you could pay off 600K in 80 years of your life. Maybe you could. But you're probably going to be, for percentage, the interest rates too, like, you're going to probably pay like 2 or 3 times that amount. It would take so long to pay off these massive loans you had to take out to buy that house, that by the time you pay it off, which you probably won't, honestly, if it's taking you 80 years to pay it off because it's such a big loan, the interest rate is going to be like, by that time, it's probably like, you're going to be paying like 3 or 4 times what you actually agreed to pay, right? Because of interest. So like, it's not even possible. The longer the interest rate, the less you want it, okay? Yeah, you can live in that house for your whole life, paying whatever you gotta pay, and have your name on it, paying tax on it, by the way. 600K in whatever, you get taxed for that. Say it's worth 600K, because the government wants you to think it is so they can tax you more, right? You could live in a house your entire life, which congratulations, I guess. But then you die, and what happens? Your whoever gets the house is in debt now, because you took out this loan before the market realized, hey, wait a minute, people can't actually buy these houses. We're gonna have to lower the prices so we get something out of it, you know. So people can actually, so we get something, you know. So you die, and let's say your wife is still alive or whatever. Now she's in debt for another 12. Let's see, 600K. That's another $1,200,000 in debt she is, because of your maybe you paid off more than that. Let's say you paid off 2 houses already. 600K twice you paid off at interest. She still has, you know, let's say the housing bubble collapsed, the housing bubble burst already. Better in 80 years. It's now the interest rate's like 2% or whatever. Well, if you didn't get it locked in, I guess. Unless it's locked in at 6% or whatever, but you know, if it's locked in, you're screwed. But like, here's the thing. When it's so high like that, 6% or 8%, whatever it is, you're better off. See, you gotta realize there's no other path for the housing market to take than down. There's no other path, right? At this point, you gotta either, if you're gonna have to get a really low rate and lock it in like 2%, whatever, 2 or 3, I don't know. If it's at like 6 or whatever the fuck you're trying to do, don't do that. Do fluctuating rates where it just follows the market at the time. Yeah, it might go up a little bit sometimes. Yeah, you might be paying more than a month. Still, here's the thing. There's no other path except down for this housing market. You gotta have it following the rate, right? At this point. It's done. If you even get to keep your house, I mean, there could be a whole civil war, maybe every country in the world invades us, I don't know. You might not even get to keep that house that you worked for years and years to get, you know? And even if you bought it off, paid it off,